Told you I'll soon be over, still you refuse to believe.
50 minutes after 12 p.m. you're locked on to the Queen Press song. It's WEFM 99.9. Up next, we have one minute news, and this is coming to you with a kind compliment of quotes. St. Vincent Limited.
Good afternoon and welcome to WEFM's Midday News, brought to you with the kind compliments of Court St. Vincent Limited.
Get the kind of value you will love that's unmatched at Quartz now. We're unmatched in quality and prices, so get appliances, electronics, furniture, and so much more. You will love it. Get it now and pay nothing for 30 days with Ready Finance. Plus, shop now and get a chance to win a luxury staycation for two. Now that's unmatched value, only at Quartz. Bringing value home. Special conditions apply. Offer ends February 28th, 2022.
Welcome back to WEFM's Midday News, brought to you with the kind compliments of Court St. Vincent Limited. I am your presenter, Rajiv Providence. First, on the local scene, St. Vincent and the Grenadines has reported yet another COVID-19 death, taking the nation's death toll from the virus to 106. The deceased is an unvaccinated 92-year-old female with underlying conditions who tested positive for COVID-19 on February 11, 2022, and was admitted to the isolation ward at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital. She died on the 21st of February 2022 of COVID-19 pneumonia. There were 4 new rapid antigen cases reported as well as 2 new COVID-19 recoveries, leaving active cases of the virus at 61. COVID-19 hospitalizations currently stand at 3. Since March of 2020, there have been 6,737 PCR COVID-19 cases reported here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force, the RSVGPF, continues on its quest to keep St. Vincent and the Grenadines safe from illicit substances, illegal guns, and ammunitions. This quest led the Rapid Response Unit of the police force to conduct a series of raids in Kingstown, which yielded the seizure of a quantity of marijuana, 1 .38 caliber revolver, and 14 rounds of 38 caliber ammunition. According to an official release from the Public Relations and Complaints Department of the RSVGPF, the illegal items were discovered in abandoned houses in Pauls Avenue. No arrests were made. Investigations into this matter are continuing. The RSVGPF in their release called on citizens who have illegal firearms in their possession to hand them over to the police, warning that failure to do so will result in prosecution. Still on the local scene, Digital Business launched its Digital Transformation Research Report and Guide looking at the attitudes towards digital transformation and the impact the pandemic has had on businesses in this respect. According to a release from Digicel, one thing that stood out in the report was that less than a third of businesses, 29%, surveyed had upgraded their cybersecurity as a direct result of the pandemic. Meanwhile, the scale and number of global cyber threats have increased significantly since the onset of COVID-19. Cybersecurity is a hot topic globally, and it's something that can have a devastating impact on anyone, personally or professionally. You don't need to be a large company to be targeted, while 77% of businesses surveyed across the Caribbean had accelerated their digital strategy because of the pandemic. The resulting growth from this digital transformation investment is at risk of if cybersecurity isn't upgraded accordingly, Head of Digital Business St. Vincent, Karen Duncan, said. According to the release, organizations that have not taken the necessary precautions to protect their information remain vulnerable to catastrophic assaults. Globally, it is recognized that a cyber attack happens every 39 seconds, so protecting company and customer data is imperative to keep businesses operational in the face of ever-present threats. On to news in the region. Jamaica's Agriculture and Fisheries Minister, Pernell Charles Jr., says the knowledge of the assets within Jamaica's marine space is key in enabling the country to sustainably tap into the blue economy while protecting the marine ecosystem. We have a massive marine space which is primarily untapped and needs to be protected. It all comes down to really defining first what is there, identifying the best way to exploit it, and putting in place systems and policies that safeguard what we need to keep in a protected zone, he said. Charles Jr. said that having such information will also facilitate mechanisms to build the capacity of the fisherfolk and provide them with the resources and support to know exactly how to exploit the resources without destroying what we have. Noting, for example, the importance of mangroves in providing breeding grounds for fish, he said that those who make their living feed their families and send their children to school off of fishing should be the primary advocates of mangrove protection, similar to environmentalists. Grenada's Health Minister Nicholas Steele says the island's healthcare system was on the verge of collapse as Grenada experienced the first wave of the COVID 19 pandemic during the period August to October last year. With regards to the effects of COVID 19, it has been significant. We survived the wave last year, our Delta wave, but I will be the first to admit, and I know, and Dr. Donald can tell you, we came very close, like most other nations, to collapsing, which was what we are trying to avoid always, he said. It was a lot of pressure on the team, on the facilities, etc. We have seen other nations that have succumbed too, but we have watched and we have learned. We boasted and we put support where we had to, and we came through. We lost a lot of Grenadians unnecessarily, I think, said Steele, as he recalled the impact of the outbreak, which resulted in the community spread of the virus. During the first outbreak, more than 100 of Grenada's healthcare workers, including nurses and auxiliary staff, became infected and had to be quarantined. On the international scene, Russian President Vladimir Putin has ordered troops into two rebel-held regions in eastern Ukraine after recognizing them as independent states. Footage released overnight appeared to show Russian military vehicles heading towards the Ukrainian border. Russia said the troops would be peacekeeping in the breakaway regions, which it has backed since 2014. But the US said calling them peacekeepers was quote-unquote nonsense. It accused Russia of creating a pretext for war. Ukraine's president said his country was not afraid of anything or anyone. According to a BBC report, several countries, including the UK, are expected to introduce sanctions against Russia in response to the move. Fears over an invasion have been rising in recent months as Russia has massed some 150,000 troops along Ukraine's borders, according to US estimates. And finally, in sports, UEFA is almost certain to switch this season's Champions League final away from St. Petersburg amid the Ukraine-Russia crisis. Russia has sent troops into two rebel-held regions of eastern Ukraine, and their affairs and invasion is planned. Several countries, including the UK, are expected to introduce sanctions against Russia in response to the move. And against that backdrop, UEFA is viewed as being highly unlikely to attempt to host the game in Russia. In an interview with BBC Sport, former UK Sports Minister Tracy Crouch said that UEFA should move the final immediately. European football's governing body is assessing the whole situation before making a decision on the matter, but it is set to be looking for a new venue at short notice for the third year running. The past two Champions League finals were played in Portugal because of COVID-19 related issues. This has been WEFM's Midday News. I have been your presenter, Rajiv Providence. Join us again at 3 p.m. for WEFM's 3 p.m. News. WEFM's Midday News is brought to you with a kind compliment of Port St. Vincent Limited.
Love our style at Quartz Optical, Toscana, Ray-Ban, Armani, and much more with up to 75% off selected frames. Buy that frame and pay nothing for 30 days. Book your eye examination online today on www.quartzoptical.com. We've got the frames you love only at Quartz Optical. Value you can't see. Special conditions apply.